Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to some Lamplight City. I think we played that absolutely perfectly. I cannot believe how well that ended up for us. I think we made the right choice. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that if we had not spoken to the missus while the mister was out of the room, we may not have been able to confront her about Roland. So Roland the musician, I need to talk to the moneylender, I need to talk to the Harris's nanny. I need to speak to a lot of people right now. A lot of people right now. There's a lot of work to do with this case. Not surprisingly, I mean, it's a new case. We're at the beginning. But I think we've absolutely gotten all the really quality information we could have right there. I'm very happy with the situation. Let's talk to the nanny. I mean, she's...
Good day to you, ma'am. I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. I'm looking into the kidnapping of Charles Harris. Are you Mrs. Davis?
I am. Oh, bless the spirits. They've sent someone to help at last.
So, what was I trying to say here? I can't remember now. I didn't want to speak over her. Whatever.
Seems like that boiler's the only thing in here that's less than 10 years old.
Okay.
My mother had a pewter teapot as well. Always made the tea taste funny. Another Harris hand-me-down, no doubt. You'd think they would have washed it first. It's a spirit reaching out to a very frightened man. Possibly the fakest looking photo I've ever seen. A boy taking a nap under a tree while his dog runs around in the distance. That brings back some good memories.
I'm gonna check the chest last.
The Harris family doesn't seem to hold the comfort of their servants in very high regard. I think a bed of nails would be an improvement.
Yeah.
These are all books on spiritualism and the occult. Mrs. Davis doesn't seem to have many other hobbies.
Okay, well that's a little bit interesting.
Pretty distinguished-looking gentleman. Handsome. Good fashion sense. Wonder who he is. Her Majesty Queen Jessica. This was clearly painted a long time ago. Painting of a misty forest with a cemetery in the background. Cheery stuff. Painting of a tower on a Scottish moor. I wish I'd been able to make it over there.
Scotland, huh?
This looks like a mourning portrait of a young woman. Probably a relative of Mrs. Davis.
Okay, the chest.
That chest is full of undressed dolls? What the hell is wrong with this old bat?
Can we take a closer look at that? That seems like something of potential interest. Why does she have undressed dolls? Hopefully that opened up some dialogue.
I have some questions for you, Mrs. Davis.
Because that's weird.
All right.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. It definitely did. All right. That might be considered. She might consider that not of importance. So start with the important stuff to make sure we don't upset her.
Tell me about the kidnapping of Charles Harris.
Oh, dear. May the spirits forgive me. I feel so awful. Charlie was my responsibility, and I failed.
Mrs. Davis, that is beside the point. What's important now is finding him and bringing him home. To do that, I need your full cooperation.
Oh, you're right, Mr. Fordham. I'm sorry. I just need to collect my thoughts. Get the negative vibrations out of my mind. Now, what specifically would you like to know?
Oh, there's so much.
What time did the kidnapping occur?
I'm not entirely sure. I know I was in the nursery having a cup of tea about 8:30. I remember feeling very drowsy. I must have passed out then because the next thing I knew, I was being woken by Mrs. Harris. That was after she got home, about 10:30. To think, whoever took Charlie did it while I was in the room. Oh, may the spirits grant me peace.
Do you happen to take any sort of sleep medications or soporifics?
Oh, dear me, no. Those types of drugs cloud the mind and make it impossible to tune into the ether.
You say that as though it were a bad thing.
I beg your pardon?
Apologies, I spoke out of turn.
Okay.
Can you think of anyone who would have wanted to take the child?
Well, I'm not one to gossip, but I am quite sensitive to the energy and vibrations that people give off. I get the impression that Mr. and Mrs. Harris aren't very happy in their marriage.
Ah, come on. Anyone could have picked up on that. Anyone except you, that is.
Mr. Harris likes to stay out late and not take his wife with him. I can't remember the last time they went out together. I don't know what he gets up to, but it's possible he may have made some enemies.
And now we already know a bit about that. She talks very slow. It's quite frustrating.
Can you think of any reason why someone would want to kidnap Charles?
It might have been for money, but last I heard, there was no demand for a ransom. I honestly don't know why this happened, Mr. Fordham. I just hope you find the poor child. He must be scared to death.
I found this piece of torn fabric in the nursery. Does it look familiar to you?
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
Alright. Button herself. Portrait dolls.
I found this button in the baby's crib. Do you recognize it?
Why, yes. That's one of Barney's eyes.
Barney.
Charlie's stuffed bear. It's his favorite toy, a gift from my friend Linda.
I didn't find a stuffed bear in the nursery.
Then whoever took the baby must have taken Barney as well. Oh, at least the poor thing has something to comfort him. Bless the spirits.
That is new information. Lovely. Yes, follow that up.
Who is Linda?
Mrs. Linda Walker. She's a good friend of mine. As I said, she gave me Barney as a gift for Charlie.
Can you tell me anything else about her?
Oh, she's a lovely girl, very much in tune with her spiritual nature. I greatly enjoy my conversations with her.
When was the last time you saw her?
Oh, I don't remember. No, wait. It was at the last Spectre Society meeting on the 19th. That's right.
More.
What is the Spectre Society?
It's a club for spiritualists and amateur investigators of the paranormal. We meet twice a month to socialize and discuss our findings.
I see. Sounds fascinating.
Oh, I don't expect you to share my beliefs, Mr. Fordham.
Oh, I have a bit more experience than you'd think with regards to the spirit world.
You can say that again.
Where exactly do these meetings take place?
At a private residence in Gascon.
May I have the address?
Why, yes, it's 325 Rue Jameau. Are you going to seek spiritual guidance to find Charlie?
Perhaps. You never know what might be worth looking into.
Oh my gosh. This case is gonna be huge. Linda's address would be good.
Do you have Linda Walker's address?
No, I don't. I never visited her home. I get the feeling she doesn't like having visitors or being home very much. She prefers to meet people elsewhere. I was the same way after my husband died. It was embarrassing for my friends to see me living so differently. But I feel it's not just a matter of pride for dear Linda. I think there are lots of bad memories associated with where she lives. I try to stay away from places like that. They leave a mark on the soul, you know.
Well, that is interesting. So Linda here popping up, somebody who obviously knows, or probably knows, that the bear is important to Charlie. Might explain why it was taken, potentially.
How long have you worked as a nanny?
Only a few years. I never had to work when I was married. My husband had a lot of money. Unfortunately, he was in great debt. And after the spirits took him back to the ether, I wasn't left with much. So I began working as a nanny to make ends meet. But I consider taking care of children a reward in its own right.
So, can you technically be wealthy if you owe a lot of that wealth in debt? I don't know. I don't know if I would have called him if I said he had a lot of money, if he owed a lot of money.
That's a lovely portrait. Who is it of?
That is my late husband, Jonathan.
Okay.
He used to attend meetings of the Spectre Society with me, bless him. I tried to get him to be more in tune with the other side, but I think he was just humoring me. He was a good man. Everyone at the society cared for him very much.
I wonder what happened to him. How did he pass? What might it have anything to do with? I mean, it's actually nice for your significant other to share in your goals and ambitions, even if they don't necessarily believe in it themselves. He sounds like a decent guy. How about those weird dolls?
I couldn't help but notice that chest full of dolls in the corner.
Oh, that. Oh, I know it must look a bit strange, but I pick up old and broken dolls so they can be repaired and donated to orphanages. It's my way of giving back to the community and helping poor children who have nothing to play with.
Well, what a kind soul. I wish she would find less creepy ways to express her altruism.
Thank you for your time, Mrs. Davis.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, I just got an achievement that says not what it looks like. I wonder if that means that we have discovered the truth, which is that it's not as weird as it seems, or if perhaps we still don't know the truth and it is not what she says it is. Alright, lots more stuff to do. Allow us to continue on.
I'll be going now, Mrs. Davis.
May the spirits guide your path.
Thank you. Alright, wow. The Spectre Society is here, lending office is here, construction yard. I'm thinking construction yard. Which one would be more helpful? Is it possible I might learn things at the lending office that might be useful to have at the construction yard? Or vice versa? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to be related too much, to be quite honest. I kind of feel like this might be a bit of a dead end, but... well...
And so we say to Harris and his cronies, no, we will not stand for this. Too many have died to allow this to continue. Steam tech must be stopped. The time has come to reject steam machines. They take our jobs, they take our families, they take our lives. We won't stand for this injustice any longer.
Let's see what this guy says first before we start looking around.
Clyde Harris has no concern for the people who died aboard the Lygia or their families. The only thing that matters to him is lining his pockets with the misery of others. To this we say no! Lads, we will not just stand by and watch another bringer of fiery death hover over us. Mark my words, the HMS Lenore will not fly!
Obviously he has a lot of enemies.
And so we say to Harris and his...
No, okay,
someone
repeating.
certainly wasn't shy about making their opinion known.
Murderers, it says, in case you can't see
Rich
it.
people really do like making others aware of what's theirs, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Don't these people have jobs they need to go to?
Perhaps not.
Elect Hart Leroy, the man of the people. I think that's preaching to the choir around here. But the way this gate is set up, I think trespassers should get an award for being able to breach the fortress.
It's quite
Do you
the
suppose
space
that's
here.
for keeping protesters out, or the yard workers in? I suddenly remembered a joke. What's the difference between the HMS Lenore and Chief Snelling? One is a greatly disliked and untrustworthy sack of hot air, and the other is the HMS Lenore.
All right. Nice, Bill, I guess. The crane?
Now that is an impressive piece of machinery.
The time has come to reject steam machines.
I'm not
They
sure if
take
we
our
have
jobs, they take our families,
anything
they
else.
take our lives.
We looked at the barbed
We
wire,
want-
Do you
right?
suppose that's...
That's right, okay. Let's talk.
Pardon me, are you Arthur Devons by any chance?
Yes? Who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. Could I ask you a few questions?
Guess so, yeah.
What do we want to start with here? I'm afraid the threatening letter might be too much. At first, let's save that for the end. Protest himself, button, fabric, letter maybe?
Why are you out here protesting?
Because what Harris Construction is doing ain't right. I lost my wife in the Lygia crash, and I'm not the only one, neither. Hundreds of people were affected by that disaster, and now these bastards are making another airship. It's like a slap in the face to everyone who died. I just can't understand it.
What do you hope to accomplish by protesting?
Simple. We want construction of the Lenore stopped and a full investigation into the Lygia disaster. Not only that, we want compensation for our losses. Royal Maverick took care of all the families of those on board, but the families of the ones in the park didn't get a single copper. It just isn't fair. We aim to make things right. After that, it'll just be a matter of time before people realize that there's no future in steam tech, and they'll call the whole thing off.
Ah, the innocence of the downtrodden. I wish I could be as naive as them. It would have made my life a lot easier.
Okay. Wife is another important one, but I don't want to upset him quite yet.
You seem very dedicated to your cause.
I'll take that as a compliment, Mr. Fordham.
There's quite a lot of people who are against steam tech, aren't there?
Yes, the movement is gaining ground and growing rapidly, I'm pleased to say.
I've heard stories about some more extreme members. Do you know anything about that?
You mean the Red Axe? Sure, I've heard of them. Even met a few. But if you think I'm telling you anything else beyond that, you're sorely mistaken.
Are you a member of the Redites, Mr. Devons?
No, I prefer more peaceful methods of making my voice heard. Now, if you don't mind, I think we should drop the subject.
Alright, I wasn't aware that one was going to be so aggressive for him. Let's talk about his wife.
You must have loved your wife very much.
Are you joking? I loved her more than there are stars in the sky. She was my whole world, Mr. Fordham, the light of my life. It's been nothing but cold and dark since she was killed. You're married, aren't you, Mr. Fordham? I see a ring on your finger.
I am, yes.
Then take my advice. Appreciate every moment you have with her. You never know when she'll be ripped out of your life, leaving you with nothing.
You know, this fellow was actually pretty wise. Maybe we misjudged him.
A little bit of foreshadowing there, perhaps. Button, torn fabric, threatening letter.
Do you recognize this button?
Can't say I do, but it looks handmade. I wonder how long it will be before the poor soul who crafted that button gets booted into the street, replaced with some steam-belching contraption.
Does this piece of fabric look familiar to you?
Looks like it came from some fancy jacket, the type you'd expect to see on the snobs in Leon. I could never afford clothes like that in a million years.
Okay. Alright, well, it's interesting because the Mrs. Harris said that it looked like a poor man's jacket. This guy said that this is obviously too rich for him. It does kind of clear him, supposedly. I don't think he's really much of a target anyway, but this is going to be the one that if it causes troubles, it's going to be here with the letter. So let's talk about that real quick.
You recognize this letter, Mr. Devons?
How'd you get that? That wasn't meant for you.
I found it at the home of Mr. Malcolm Harris. He tells me you've been sending quite a few of these to his father.
Me and everyone else what had someone killed by that devil machine. I'm not the only one, you know.
Perhaps not, but he told me you were the most persistent.
I don't know if I want to talk about the kidnapping yet.
What have you got against the Harris family?
Family? Don't know nothing about the family. The only one I got a problem with is Clyde Harris, the one who owns this yard. He's just like all those other rich bastards with their heads in the clouds. The man don't care about the dead. He just wants to make as much money as he can. I'm just trying to make him realize how wrong he is.
I don't know what Bones and Dust is, to be quite honest, but I may not talk to him about the kidnapping yet.
Mr. Harris told me you send a bag of chicken bones and dust along with your letters. Why is that?
Chicken bones? Dust? Nah, that's not right. I've only sent letters.
Are you certain of that?
Yes, as sure as I'm standing here.
Right. And I'm the queen. I get the feeling this guy will crack if we figure out what the significance of his little gift is.
Alright. I don't think we talk about the kidnapping yet.
Mr. Devons.
You too, Mr. Fordham.
I hope this doesn't mean that we can't come back and speak with him. But I'm not ready to talk to him about the kidnapping yet because they want the kidnapping to stay quiet. I'm afraid that might cut off some options for us at a later date. The chicken bones and dust. There might be something in the Spectral Society we can learn from that. Lending office, though, is a good place to go as well. I think we're going to try the best we can to not talk about the kidnapping yet.
Hello, sir. Welcome to LaFay Lenders. I'm the owner, Chester LaFay. Are you looking to take out a loan?
Not today, I'm afraid. I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator.
Look, I don't know what you've heard, but I run a clean business here. I don't need any trouble.
And I'm not here to cause any, for the moment.
Just keep your nose where it belongs, and we should get along fine.
Maybe.
Do you suppose LaFay turns the heat up to put some pressure on his clients? Must be soothing for LaFay to be able to look at this landscape while he sits at his desk. He actually has a degree in business from the University of New Britannia? What a waste. LaFay with a woman and a small girl. I wouldn't have taken him for a family man. A crew escaping a shipwreck on a violent sea. Not the most comforting painting to look at while waiting for a loan. I shudder to think how many people's financial freedoms are locked away in that cabinet.
Perhaps I should get into it.
That's the latest model Computron. They don't come cheap. LaFay must be doing pretty well for himself.
I want to touch those letters.
Mr. LaFay, I'd like to ask you some
Question
questions.
Fine, but keep it brief.
Yeah, maybe.
Tell me what you know about Malcolm Harris.
Ah, Mr. Harris. Took out a loan about a month ago. Still hasn't paid me back. In fact, he sent along a letter yesterday saying he was having an emergency and needed more time. I probably should have refused to do business with him. As soon as he walked through the door, I could tell his type.
What type is that?
Upper class, bored with his life, trying to escape and doing it through vice. In his case, gambling.
This guy is good. Maybe you can pursue money lending if the whole private investigator thing doesn't work out.
But for some reason, I pitied him and decided to give him the loan anyway. Compassion isn't exactly an asset in this business, you see.
Nothing to worry about in your case, then.
Aside from that, I don't know anything about him. I prefer to keep how much I know about my clients to a minimum. Makes things easier for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to talk about kidnapping yet.
Tell me a bit
Himself.
about yourself and your business, Mr. LaFay.
What's to tell? I lend people money, they pay me back.
Surely it's not that simple.
Well, of course I charge interest, otherwise I'd never make a profit. I know people don't look upon the service I provide very favorably, but without my help, there would be a lot more unhappiness in the world.
How did you go about starting up this business?
I didn't. My former employer, Mr. Roth, left it to me when he passed.
That was rather good of him.
Yes, well, he didn't have any heirs, and he considered me to be the son he never had. He was fond of my family, too. I try and keep my work and home life as far away from each other as I can, though. There's a lot of things in this line of work that my wife and daughter are better off not knowing about.
Take a look at this piece of fabric. Does it look familiar to you?
Sure, it looks like it came from a jacket. In fact, yes, it's the same fabric as the jacket I'm wearing.
Exactly how much did Mr. Harris borrow from you?
Is that relevant to your investigation?
It would help to have an idea of exactly how much he owes you, yes.
I don't feel comfortable telling you the exact amount, but I will say it was over 500 crowns.
A considerable sum.
Like I said, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I'll get the money back one way or another.
What's your policy regarding people who don't pay their loans back?
There are a few options. For the first 3 months or so, I'll send them a letter reminding them. After that, I start to threaten them with legal action. You wouldn't believe some of the things people do to avoid paying back their loans. One client went so far as to fake his own death.
Do you ever employ any more unusual methods?
If you're implying that I do anything illegal, Mr. Fordham, you're mistaken. Look, I have a family to consider. I'm not about to go getting my hands dirty when there's plenty of legitimate ways to handle the situation.
I actually like him. I don't think it's him.
Would you mind if I took a look at your jacket?
Sure, not a problem. Here.
Oh, this is so cool. Now missing buttons. Can I go into the stuff? It doesn't appear to be missing anything. But he said it's the same fabric. I'm looking over it to see if there's any place that gives me a cursor option.
No tears in mine, huh?
Not a one. You clearly take good care of your clothing.
I don't mean to discourage you, Mr. Fordham, but I've seen a lot of people with this style of jacket.
Tell me
Hell,
more
even
about
Malcolm has one. I remember he was wearing it when he came in here.
I see. Thank you for the information, Mr. LeFay.
Ho. Has the father hidden away his own son to try and, I don't know, what, get out of his marriage? Get out of paying the loan? Can I not talk to him anymore?
I've got some...
Go ahead.
I want to make sure the kidnapping's still there.
I think that's all for...
It is. Oh, that's a good clue right there. I like that one. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I like that one. Where are we at? Find out who or what SS is. We don't know yet. Roland, Linda Walker at the Spectre Society, and syndicate author Divine's Gift. Well, a clue though, common jacket. Even Mr. Harris owns one. LeFay's testimony, Mrs. Davis's testimony. She heard the sound of smashing glass though. Forbidding sub, loose button, torn fabric. I'm gonna real quick here stop by at Upton. See if there's anything we can talk to her about that might make sure we're not missing things. I don't want to make any wrong decisions
Go
here.
on, I'm listening.
So I want to get some information from her potentially.
How's work going?
Hectic as usual. Crime in this city seems to be getting worse and worse every day.
I suppose that's the price of progress.
God help us if they ever actually discover that ethericity stuff then. Things between you and Adelaide getting any better?
I'm really not sure. They haven't gotten worse, but things haven't been the same between us since Bill died.
Well, you need to figure things out, or everything is just going to explode in your face one of these days.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Upton.
I'm merely speaking from experience. If I'd seen the warning signs of Harold sooner, it would have saved me quite the headache. At least your marriage seems like it's still worth saving.
Yeah, I might have to go ahead and see my wife.
What's the other case you mentioned? The one...
Well, it seems we might have a mass murderer on our hands.
You don't say.
That's right. I didn't say because I shouldn't say. But so far, we've had 3 murders with a very similar MO in the past 2 months. Snelling is trying his hardest to keep it under wraps since the newspapers already caught wind of the first 2.
I don't envy the department there. I'm happy to stick with the missing persons and domestic disputes.
Yeah, maybe.
Can we go over my current case?
Of course. What have you got?
I found this torn piece of fabric at the crime scene. It's got an emblem with some initials on it.
I recognize that emblem.
Huh?
It's from Solomon Stitching, a little tailor shop in Lyon. My ex-husband had several jackets from there.
Sorry to dredge up old memories, but do you remember where they're located?
I believe it's on the corner of Bonneville Street and Surratt Avenue.
Fantastic. You're helpful as always, Upton.
Perfect. So glad we spoke with her.
I found this button at the crime scene. The child's nanny identified it as the eye of his stuffed bear.
Did you find the bear at the scene?
No. The kidnapper must have taken it as well.
Interesting.
Either the kidnapper is very compassionate, or it's someone who knew the child.
Yeah, I would say it's someone who knew the child.
I spoke with Henrietta Davis, the Harris family nanny.
A sensible place to start. What did she have to say?
She claims to have been unconscious when the kidnapping took place.
She must be an extremely heavy sleeper.
I don't believe so. The way she described it made it sound like she was drugged.
Interesting. Definitely worth looking into, I'd say.
That's enough about the case for now.
Okay.
That's it, I think.
Then you'd better get back to it.
Cool. Good. Solomon Stitching. We got ourselves another lead here to follow up on. I think I'm more excited about that one than I am going to the society. I think the society might point us in the direction of what chicken bones and whatever might be. Potentially has something to do with wishing ill news or something. But I actually don't suspect the construction yard guy. The friend of our nanny is somebody who I'm interested in, and then of course Solomon Stitching is pretty important as well. But before we go into any more of that serious stuff, I want to talk to Adelaide. I want to try to see.
Here I am.
Welcome home.
I think that it's very possible in this game that we can lose our wife. I think it's quite possible indeed. Whether maybe she dies or she leaves us, I think it's quite possible that that's something we're looking at a potential. I'd like to see if I can avoid that, perhaps. I am playing this blind, by the way.
Dear?
I'd forgotten how good you are at écarté. You absolutely destroyed me the other night.
As I recall, you used to hold your own pretty well.
We should have another match soon. That way I can hone my skills.
Yes, we should. As long as you can concentrate, I'm sure you'll get as good as you used to be.
Alright, let's just go down all the fun stuff first, then talk to her about some other stuff. And we'll do herself, hairdressing, Delacroix, Spectre, Roland Spectre maybe, because Spectre...
How are things going with you?
I'm a bit worried about some rumors I've been hearing.
Oh?
They're saying it won't be long before automated hairdressing devices are available to the public. Once that happens, it's going to be tough for me to keep getting jobs.
Automated hairdressing devices? How would those even work? Do they read your mind?
Doubtful. More than likely they'll have some kind of settings or just give everyone the same type of hairstyle.
I wouldn't worry too much, Addie. You're the best hairdresser in town. I doubt people will place their trust in some contraption over you.
You underestimate my clientele, Miles. They're mostly all rich socialites whose hobbies are buying the most expensive and modern things just to outdo their peers. They'll be sending their servants to line up for days before the things are released.
Perhaps, but they'll come running back to you once the machines stop working. You'll see.
I certainly hope so.
Okay.
You weren't kidding about business picking up. You're averaging what, about 3 appointments per day?
More like 5. I told you, debutante ball season's busy.
Doesn't it get tiresome?
Not really. You'd be surprised at the sort of gossip I hear from my clients.
Oh?
I don't know what it is, but they just open up to me and tell me all kinds of personal things. You sure you don't want me to give you a trim?
I'm fine for now, dear. Thank you.
I wish I could let her.
I can't believe the nerve of that narrow-minded old cow.
Who, Mrs. Delacroix? She's actually one of my nicest clients.
I don't know how you can tolerate her. If I were you, I'd strike her off my list.
If I did that for every one of my clients who thought the same as her, I'd be out of a job. That's just the way it is.
Maybe so, but it doesn't make it any less infuriating.
Alright, so I'm a little bit worried about talking about the Spectre Society. I don't know what her beliefs are. I'm gonna save them for last. Roland is next, though I haven't spoke with Roland. I might get some information to use with him.
Addie, did you ever work with or meet a musician in Gascon named Roland?
Roland?
Yes, a piano player.
Oh, of course. That's gotta be Roland Devereaux. Yes, I know him. I'd just as soon never hear the name again, if I'm being honest.
That bad, huh?
He's just an arrogant little twerp. Completely full of himself, thinks he's God's gift to music. He really isn't very good. Misses notes like you wouldn't believe. Used to throw me off the few times I sang with him.
Well, he's a person of interest in my current case. Any idea where I can find him?
Last I heard, he was playing a regular gig at the Crimson Cat, but that was a few years ago. If he's not still there, they might know where he went.
Thanks, dear. That's incredibly helpful.
My pleasure.
This game is intense. You need to talk to everybody and put everything together. I'm getting worried now that I'm sitting here thinking a little bit in between these conversations if maybe I should be asking these gents about the kidnapping, but I don't find them to be real suspects right now. I don't want to mention it to somebody who could use it against the clients, scare people into hiding or something.
Have you ever heard of a group called the Spectre Society?
I think I had a client once who mentioned it. There's some kind of spiritualist group, right?
So it would seem.
I don't really know anything else about them, sorry.
I'll let you get back to your book.
Yeah, you do your reading there, hon. Oh, wow. Intense, intense. We got some good information on this episode, guys. I think we are moving forward with this case rapidly, although it is definitely a significant case, bigger than the first one by far. I should maybe check the newspapers too. We'll do that at the start of next episode, guys. Thanks for joining me today. See you guys next time. Peace out.